Wonderful Wednesday. It's a beautiful sunny day in Tucson, Arizona. It's gonna get a little too warm, but that's okay. We're gonna embrace it. We're gonna enjoy it. All right, we're gonna start here in just a few moments. Again, I'm just getting up some technical things, sharing the link of our chat today. We're gonna be chatting with Michael Montoya about teaching dance and being a dance teacher. Hi Emma, how you doing? Emma just experienced the heat in Tucson here. All right, starting in a few moments. How's everyone's day? Let me know how you're doing. Let's check in with each other before we start chatting. Hi Maddie, how you doing? One of our faculty here at BreakOut Studios. Welcome everyone. Again, we're gonna be starting to do our live chat in just a few moments. We're getting some of the technical things set up, sharing our link with our Patreon members, getting all that going. Hopefully you're having a beautiful morning today. All right. We'll be bringing in Michael Montoya, wonderful artist, hip hop teacher, vocalist, amazing, amazing guy. Just getting this link shared real quick and then we'll get started. Okay. How's everyone doing today? Yeah. All right. Share the video. Okay. All righty. About to start. Okay. All right, everyone. Well, I'll go ahead and get the chat started. Today we're going to be chatting about being a dance teacher. I know we have lots of teachers that follow our Instagram account, so we're excited to chat with you all about being a dance teacher and all things that come with that. So get ready. I'll go ahead and invite Michael Montoya to join our chat this morning, and then we'll get started. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming in here. Here we go. Let's get chatting. All right. Got my notes. Connecting.
All right, here we are.
Hey, Michael, how you doing?
Doing all right. You know, my stuff set up here.
Good, good, good. I know. I thought I was ready, then I logged in and I was like, oh my God. I've got all kinds of things going on here. I've got a camera, I've got computers going. It's just madness.
Yeah, it's like a bat cave.
It is. It is like a bat cave. Well, thank you
What
for
up, everyone in
yes.
Instagram land,
Instagram
and Patreon.
Yes.
Hello to everybody streaming from Patreon.
Thank you.
That's new.
That's new. Yes. So our Patreon members actually get this live stream and it's saved on the site and they get to rewatch it since, you know, who doesn't want to rewatch us talking about things? And yeah, so this morning we're going to be chatting about teaching dance, sort of like a 3-part series that we're doing, sort of, where we started with sort of our backgrounds here in Tucson, growing up here, introductions to the dance community, excuse me, and just, you know, starting a conversation about dance. Now we're moving over to teaching dance, so experiencing it, doing it, then teaching it. And then I'm hoping next week, Michael, if you'll stick with me, we can chat about choreography, keeping this series going. So we'll again spend the next probably 40-ish minutes chatting, and then we'll take some questions at the end if there are any. And we welcome you to share this link and tag it, and we'll just get going. So the reason why this really was spurred for me, and I'll just start by how this popped in my head. One of the questions I get a lot at Breakout are the younger dancers coming up requesting to teach. And it varies from people that are seasoned, that are just, you know, professionals that take classes, and I might immediately start then the transition of them to teach. Or it could be someone that's just very fresh to dance, that just has the inspiration to get going quicker and to teach right away. And I always feel bad because I don't have enough time in those moments to really sit down with them, talk to them about teaching, explain why or why not it's a good fit. and sometimes I follow up, but unfortunately, the life kind of gets going and you forget to catch up with people. So I'm really glad we're having this chat because
Yeah.
I've missed so many conversations with people that again have reached out to teach, and again, whether it be just me, it might not be a good time or our schedule is not right at the moment, or even just having that conversation of these are the things you might want to try to do, see, experience before you jump in there. So right off the bat, Michael, do you have anything you want to say before we jump into this?
Well, no, other than that, I'm fascinated by all this, and I'm excited to have this conversation because our dance backgrounds in general are very different from each other.
Right.
And as is I'm sure our teaching approach. A few years back, I was doing a bunch of video stuff for BreakOut Studios, and I got to just sit in a bunch of classes and be a fly in the wall videotaping these dance classes. And I couldn't believe how much I enjoyed that, just being a fly in the wall watching these dance classes happening. Because I didn't start taking that, or I didn't start teaching. My relationship with the dance studio didn't start until I started to teach.
Right.
I never took any dance classes, nothing like that. So I just hit the ground of the dance studio like a graceful newborn giraffe. They're all flimsy, whatever. And I mean, and you can still see it in the way I teach. You can still see like, okay, this guy's just a mess. He's all over the place. But my methods that I've kind of developed were just things I've kind of accumulated along the way, and all this, and putting a little bit of this here and there, trying this and that. But man, it was such an awesome experience sitting in on your class, on a few other people's classes that I got to sit on and watch, and just what you guys as individuals do with this platform of teaching. And it's also a huge eye-opener as to the power of it, of the whole thing, the power of the influence, the power of all that stuff. So yeah, I think it's a very important conversation, and there's a lot of important stuff for people who want to get into teaching. A lot of important stuff that they should probably know.
Yeah,
not all that we would have the answers to.
Right. This is a conversation coming from our worlds, what we can bring to the forefront and what we've experienced. I know for myself, what's crazy, I was just thinking about this when we were transitioning. I started at my mom's studio very young, way too young. I didn't know anything. I mean, I knew through training how to teach technical things, but that was it. That was very, very topical.
How old were you when you started?
I'm almost embarrassed to say. I was like 13. I mean, it was youth classes,
That's cool.
And it was assisting, but being now 35, I have taught, over 20 years, and I really know, and I'm sure, if any of my past teachers, professors, or anyone will ever get a hold of this video, they'll be shaking their heads. I didn't really know what the heck I was doing until maybe 10 years ago. And that was going through moving, dancing professionally, working in the fashion world a little bit. All those things added to where I am now. And, working for Canyon Ranch and Miraval, both those places. I mean, I think working for Canyon Ranch for me, sort of like, that was at 17. I was thrown into the water, and they did give me some really great training too. Again, back to Christina Lopez and giving her props where props are due. I got so much training then, but it was just like building that house, and it was building that base of the house for years. Don't talk about the chimney. You're talking like the concrete. That takes so long, and that's why I think, because I had that journey of starting so young and knowing how naive I was, that's why I paused so hard when even dancers in their early 20s come to me and they're like, hey, I want to teach something. And I'm like, I want you to get a little bit more life experience, or, and they might be ready and I might need them. And that's Tucson. We're not in New York or LA where there's this like massive pool
Yeah.
of people that are looking for work. You know, sometimes you got to get a class filled and you work with them and you do the best that you can.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, but like you're an amazing example because you, even though you didn't have this technical training like some of us did, you had raw talent that could connect with people, and you have a way of connecting with, I mean, you did with me, connecting on a level that inspires and pushes people forward and connects. And sometimes people that aren't from a technical background, or maybe, you know, especially in the technical world, some of the best teachers I've had at Breakout were not necessarily the most gifted dancers. And I won't, you know, say anybody because that's rude, but there have been some people that maybe aren't like the most insane feet and legs and turns and all that crap, but
They're sculptors.
they're
artists.
yes, that's such a good way to put it. They're sculptors. And they have empathy too. Like I think you have to have a certain level of like, if your ego outshines in a teaching environment, like if you put that at the forefront, then it's just a showcase. You know, we've had people come to Breakout that were, or actually back when TDC was going on, we were doing more workshops from people in LA. We'd have these big name people come out, you know, or someone would bring someone to us and like, oh, so and so on So You Think, or whatever. And I think, Michael, you might know who I'm talking about. And they just stand in the front, and it's a showcase for them. You know, it's really, so I guess what I'm trying to say, long-winded here, teachers come in all shapes and sizes, and backgrounds and modalities. And I hope from this conversation, I mean, and we can keep this going, that we can create maybe a way to, like a tableside chat about this and keep it going, because there should be a way for people to learn and share and build to a point where they can stand in front of a room and direct. So
Yeah. I know one thing for me that was a huge struggle for a lot of years is accepting using counts as a teaching method. When I started to teach, it was during a time where you didn't really have, you know, street dancers teaching in studios. You had jazz dancers, jazz dancers who would do more of a jazz funk kind of a deal, and they'd say MTV dance, you know, styles, and but when I started to teach in studios, I already was getting pushed back from, like, you know, the b-boy community that was out there and all that stuff. I was, you know, I'd have these young kids that were these scrappy kids. Scrappies was this this place here in Tucson that was a watering hole for all the local underground MCs, b-boys, graffiti artists, DJs, you name it, like hip hop, but also punk, all these metal. That's a documentary in itself. Anyways, these little scrappy b-boys would come up to me and all be like, "Oh, you're that Michael Montoya guy. You teach in studios, huh? You're that 5'6'7" guy, huh? 5'6'7", and I'm like, you little," and I get so frustrated. But I still keep in contact with them. I still, to this day, I keep in contact with these. They're all grown men, and guess what they do now?
Yep. Teaching in the studio.
Every single one of them for the past 10 years. Guess what they've been doing?
Right.
Teaching in dance studios.
5, 6, 7, 8.
I'm ahead of the curve.
That's right.
But because of that, you know, and I would always be like, whatever, it didn't affect me and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, it's like, man, I'm not quite this and I'm not quite this, and trying to define my way in this whole scheme of things, teaching. Because it's like, you know, there's this resistant, this punk rock young attitude of, you know, I'm not a studio dancer. I'm not a technical dancer. I dance from the heart. It's my soul. My experience is from the street. I'm a kid. I'm like 15, 16 years old. You know, my experience, whatever. Anyway, so I had such a resistance towards using counts, and I would just be like, counts, schmounts. You don't know, real dancers, real dance, real this, real that. Insecure teachers, insecure dancers talk real this, talk real that all the time.
Exactly.
And I was most definitely that dude. Real dancers don't need no counts. real dancers just do the pop, pop, boop, 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 that boop, 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 pop. So just use that and
Yeah.
take it. But and then the longer you teach, you realize that you may have a general idea of an understanding that you have towards your art. And I would assume so. Otherwise, what are you even considering teaching?
Right.
Unless you feel like you have something to offer.
Exactly.
You know? So you have an idea of a general understanding of who you are, of what you do as an artist, and good, so on and so forth.
Right.
But let me tell you right now, the moment you put those into words and you put those into lessons in front of students, especially the little ones that push back and they start questioning, why this? Well, why do you do that? Why this and why that? And suddenly you realize, man, I have to kind of this is me. I'm talking from my perspective. From my perspective, it's like, man, a lot of what I do is just intuition. And I don't know why I do that, but there is a reason why I do that. There is a reason why my weight is like that. There is a reason why this. And so now I'm forced to kind of figure out a way to communicate this whole deal. So the more you teach, the more you're going to understand, have a more clear-cut understanding of what you do. And that never ends. Like, even to me now, I mean, I'm at a point now where I realize the longer you teach, the more... That's the beauty of teaching. The beauty of teaching is the longer you do it, the more you realize you don't know what you're doing, and it's a wide open range of learning. You know, you just want to implement good, and not you want to try to make people fall more in love with dance and not fall out of love with dance. And a hard lesson for me was understanding that and accepting that not everybody is going to see dance and see this stuff through the same prism that I do.
Right.
And you can't force feed your point of view, your life experiences, everything you do. You can't just kind of force feed your perspective, your opinions, your this, your that into somebody and expect it to kind of hold when they have their own journeys, they have their own life experiences, and dance is it's like the force. It moves, it penetrates us, binds us all together. And we all have our own individual relationships with dance, because we all have our own individual relationships and connection with music. And dance is what music looks like through our points of view. And so understanding when you're teaching, and if you're teaching in a room of 4 people and it's only 4 people, you're like, oh man, especially people who've had 40, 50 people in the class and they're standing on these stages with these headset mics like, yeah, everybody, let's do this. And I'm a pony. But and then connecting because it's on such a broad spectrum, but you kind of really dissect and have these 4 individuals in class. Let's break down their life experiences. These 4 people each have parents, possibly siblings, possibly this going on at home, 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 this kind of upbringing, this kind of connection to different types of music. But you know what's common between all 4 of these people is that in that point in time, they're right there in front of you, and they want to move and they want to learn. Right. And they want to know wherever roads they're coming from, where do they go from here? And they're looking at you. And you're going to put, and it seems like a lot, but you have to look at these people as individuals, recognize what they need individually. Your eyes should constantly be moving around when you're teaching. Look at the people that are moving along. And most importantly, don't scrutinize people for not looking like you. Not everybody's going to look like you. Everybody's built different, even from gender, to gender, from person to person, man, woman to woman, Mm-hmm. Our where we carry our center of weight is completely different. Right. So it's just a matter. I'm the groovy talk man. I talk groove this, groove that. I'm the groove man. If you find the groove in whatever the thing you're looking at, and you kind of learn to ride in that groove, you could do anything. And dance is no different. And teaching is that same thing. You're looking for that common groove in what you do that would be specific yet open enough to speak to all these people and to kind of help them carry their journey in dance wherever it may be, with or without you. You know?
Right. And I think that's No, I think that's important, and I think that's why this conversation is important, because you need to have, you can't control what someone's going to take from your class, and you can't control the environment that they're coming from to take your class, but you can show up with an organized offering of material. And that's the thing too, like show up, have your warm up, have your choreography, you know, don't put yourself in front of the class, in a way like we're talking about ego, and just teach. And that's the thing with Breakout. For a long time I tried to dip into people's lives and try to like help everyone and involved here, and it's like, no, my job is to run a studio, to have a great environment for people to come to and to take class and de-stress. And if I can do that and just keep it going and keep it open like we're trying to do now, that's great. And that's important. Like I don't need to go and try to get into everything. And there's some people that do that and they're rock stars at it and they take care of people, and that's awesome. But I know for me and what I can put out there, because I carry on a lot of people's stuff. I'm one of those types that I have to be really careful because that builds up other people's energies. So the best way I know how to operate in this sphere of being a teacher and owning a studio is just to show up, make sure the doors are open, and do the best job we can to offer classes that are great. And if I can keep that going, then wonderful. But I think if you micro that down a little bit to just one class, again, showing up and diversifying your offering, having a clear voice, like you said, being open to every student. Don't just focus on the best person in the room the whole time and get your Instagram video with them at the end of class. And, it's about everyone. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting dynamic because, like I said, I've been trying to do the best I can fielding the questions of when is the appropriate time to be a teacher. And that, I think, ties into how you lay it out. Michael, what is your preparation for a class? How much time do you spend on music selection, on choreography, on the overall presentation? And everyone that's just joining in, again, it's Michael Montoya and myself, Todd. We're talking about teaching dance. We're gonna do some questions and answers at the end here in about 20, 30 minutes, about 20 minutes. But yeah, Michael, what's your prep? How do you go into teaching?
It's changed throughout the years. At first it was like no prep because I was a kid. Again, one of the things that you would worry about is, unleashing a kid, giving them all this power of attention, of freedom, especially when during my era, when it's hard to replace somebody. Now somebody who's a hip-hop teacher is like, get out of the way, man. There's a ton of hip-hop teachers in line ready to do that. Right. Back then there was no hip-hop teacher. So, there was times where I would show up the day of. I'm only sharing this, this is embarrassing stuff, but I'm only sharing this to tell you this is not the way to go about doing it. And if anybody gets in their mind and starts to fall into this rhythm, or you start recognizing these kind of things, I would rather have put this out there than not have put it out there. So, just showing up and making stuff up on the spot. During that time, I'd have a book. There was a book of CDs, a big old Bible of all these CDs. And it was just like this punk rock thing. You just walk into class, what's up, guys, with my big old horchata. And I'm like, what do you, going through my Rolodex, what do you guys want to dance to? What do you guys want to dance to? They're like, oh, let's do this. Who you want to do this? Let's do this, baby. Woo. So my CD like a Harlem Globetrotter and float behind me, go, and it plays by itself because I was magic. So then I turn to the students and be like, give me a minute while I just work out some choreography, turn on the music, dance around, I mean, so stupid, but when you're in front of people and you're given this kind of power, especially at a young age, there is this, Jody, yes, we've all done that. There's this false sense of confidence.
Yeah.
And looking back, it's 100% arrogance. And now when I go and teach a class, I like to have at least 3 routines ready, like not knowing what I'm going to teach. I have my primary thing of this is what I would like to teach, but what if you throw it out there and what if it's just way over these people's heads? A lot of choreography I do tends to be a little bit more intricate, you know, and it's not for everyone. But if there's if you're teaching a dance class, you know, it's important to try to cater to everybody. You know, they may not get something out of the choreography the way seasoned dancers would, but they may get something just out of being there, out of hearing something you say or the person next to them that they say, this person moving over there, you know. Anyways.
My mom just popped in. Love your honesty. Everyone has done it. Kind of mirroring what my sister said. And just a shout out to Connie Wilson and how many people she has employed as dance teachers over the years in Tucson. That's good to just note.
Yeah, she started this gangster.
Yeah. Her and Josette were a great team for a long time. And big shout out to them because I think, gosh, I don't know how many countless number of teachers in Tucson have been through the studio. And so anyways, I think it's really important for us to share our embarrassing stories. And I think there, again, it's that arrogance of like showing up and like, oh, I can throw this together and it's gonna be brilliant and people are gonna love it. And it's like, no, actually, if you research what you're doing, if you know the lyrics and you have a story you're gonna tell and you have the choreography, you're gonna be able to do more and create more and sharpen more than you ever with. I think it wasn't until I was actually like doing a paid gig where I showed up and I wasn't prepared and my employer was like, what are you doing? This, you know,
Yeah.
You're not ready. And it was, again, embarrassing and it's a life lesson. And, you know, and then you're like, shit, this is my job. I've got to, you know, put some stock in myself and the fact that someone's paying me to do this. Like I get paid to dance and to teach and it's good money. And, you know, I've got to honor that and really, really, really put in the time. And that's what it is. It's just taking an extra, and it's not a lot, you know, an hour of preparation for a class to sit down and map it out, write it out. You know, if you're doing choreography, have your formations and staging and your references and your, you know, gosh, with technology now, I mean, I have a camera, a laptop, an iPad, 2 iPads, and I can sit here and do all this with you. It's just incredible. Like dancers and teachers and artists nowadays, the reference capability we have is stupid. I mean, it's like if you're gonna be doing a piece about, I don't know, the moon, or I don't care. You can get online and research mythology about the moon, art about the moon, music about the moon in seconds, and it's wild. Before it was dial-up internet, LimeWire. Before that, it was being at the library, going through those little, you know, things. I don't even know what they're called. What are those things? Rolodex. You know, having to find a book. I mean, it's just insane. So with all of that, the pressure is even more on. I was talking to Jez about this. You know, the pressure's on. You have everything. If you can't get to a computer, get to a library. If you can't, you know, it's like you have the opportunities now to really do some amazing things. And I feel like there are some people that are doing that, and there's some people that are still, you know, it's human nature, are still kind of just phoning it in. So, oh my God. So Michael, so we've talked about,
so really quick to tail in that,
yes.
Now when I go to teach, I try to prepare. I feel stupid saying this coming off of the 4 clown show classes that I did this past month, but I try to prepare as much as possible. And, you know, I like to try to have a few routines in the pocket in case one doesn't work out, you know. If one doesn't work out, either it's too hard or be it that they're just not feeling it. You came and brought in something that's way more party oriented, and you realize the group that you're working with want to connect on a different type of level, and you may have something else back there that's more suited, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to try to cater to the experiences and the journeys of the people that you're teaching versus yourself as an artist. What you're doing in that moment is unlocking these secret chambers that help you understand better what you're doing as an artist.
Right.
And when you teach and when you unlock that stuff, then you can implement that in the stuff that you do for you. And even if you, and by being prepared and having stuff together, doesn't necessarily, even if there's dancers I've talked to that have said, like, doing stuff that's more story oriented or this theme oriented is just not my jam. Right on, I get that. People connect to this how they want to connect to this. This is your groove. This is the way you move with it. But one thing that a little saying that I've always remembered: people don't connect to what you do; they connect to why you do it.
Right.
And if they don't see the why, all they see is the what you do, and what you're doing is just
it's a showcase.
Looking at yourself in the mirror and showboating, and you're kind of removing them from the equation, and you're letting them experience you.
Right.
Then that's what they're going to experience, and they're like, oh, that's cool, but they might get bored of your little song and dance show. Like they want to be part of this. They want to be part of this journey. They want to be part of this dance that's going on in this room.
Yeah.
So it's not about it's not about them. They're not going to connect to what you do. They're going to connect to why you do that.
Right.
Why you do it. I heard that on TED Talk.
Yes, I think that's great.
And so preparation. Be prepared. Have a couple of combos in your back pocket. If you're doing something that that has some sort of foundation, things of that sort. If you're not going to teach those foundations, at least mention what those foundations are so people could kind of get an idea. If people want to do their homework, they can kind of see what you do, because a lot of times with a lot of dances, I know it's the same with a lot of street dances that evolve throughout the years, then they become commercialized. There's a lot of foundation stuff that gets lost along that way, and it's always good to kind of throw out that kind of stuff for people out there so they can kind of look back at that and kind of see those roots, so that way it'll still be alive, and that way when people do add to whatever it is that you're doing, they're adding from that starting point of the foundation. That's why now when I teach, I try to throw out there, what it is where I came from, what I do, and all that grand scheme of things, and do that.
Well, it's like if you look at it like a tree, and we've all been connected to different branches and different people, and we keep growing, we keep sharing. Like, we have to keep it healthy and keep, feeding it and do the best we can. I think some people, even if you're like an improv person, and I know a lot of people use improv in their classes, even the improv has to have a structure to it. You can't just come in and be like,
some kind of
improv.
Right.
And then what? Then you want me to do what?
Not a lazy thing.
No.
It's not a lazy thing. Like, I don't have anything prepared, so we're just going to improv.
Right.
Like, no, that's, improv is its own thing.
Right. Why are you
It's
improving?
its own thing.
Right.
Just because you are a good teacher, good choreographer, does not mean you're going to be a good teacher. A good dancer or a good choreographer doesn't mean you're going to be a good teacher. Mm-hmm. Teaching is its own skill.
Right.
Improv, and to be able to navigate and compose that within others, it's something that is earned by swimming around this whole thing,
Right. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No, absolutely. I think if you create a moment like, okay, I want you to go out on the floor and I want you to improv and I want you to do, I want you just to be on the floor and here's your prompts, here's your story. Okay, so you've set up that narrative, right? You've set up that moment, but then you have to then connect it to something else. You can't just leave them there with this, because that's the only time I step in with a teacher and I'm like, all right, Sally O'Malley, you've done improv for the last 4 weeks, and I don't know where you're going with it. Like, it's cool if you're improving and you're saying, this is why I'm doing this, because we're taking it from A to B. A is the improv, and B is performance quality or movement, exploration, or this is what we're doing, and there's a reason for doing it. Versus, again, like you said, I haven't prepared. I slept in because I partied the night before, so we're gonna do freeze dance for 2 hours. And there's nothing wrong with freeze dance. Trust me, I've done it. But at the same time, there's so much reward, and beyond, and dance teaching isn't a job where we're going to make a ton of money, but beyond the finances and beyond whatever, there's such a soul reward in showing up prepared, having an idea. You know, I think back to like Sasha's song that you and I worked on. Like, you know, we conceptualized this thing. I talked to you about music. We worked together. You know me. You knew how I created. And we put in the work and the time. And that, you know, even though that was back, you know, before I was getting paid to do this, that still is one of my fondest memories because the process was there and we took the time. And again, that was a lot of going back to last week's conversation. A lot of our shows were, you spent a lot of time. You burnt my face.
Yeah.
Making masks. I mean,
yeah.
there was a lot of time spent and care and you know, it's like the this is such a jump here, but like in pop culture with musicians, it's like you have like the Lady Gagas who, I mean, I don't know her personally, obviously, but I try to follow her as much as I can because she's an inspiration for me. I can feel and I can see and I can read the time she puts into her artistry. And then there's some other people that I'm like, girl, you just showed up today. You've been phoning it in on this performance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with teaching.
Somebody's representative typing something out, you know.
It's a total PR move. Yeah, no, I think taking this back to instruction, that's show up and have your ducks in a row, and it feels so good to finish a class and go, wow, we cut through a warm up. We cut through some, you know, progressions or maybe across the floor, and we cut through a chunk of choreography, and they have it and they know it and they can take it home. Or it's a rehearsal. They have it, they know it, and next week I'm not going to feel like we just kind of wasted our time. You know, it's moving forward. So because we're getting close here to the question and answer time, what are some points, some bullet points? We've talked about preparation. I think diversity. I think research. What some other things are just sort of some like quick little things, some tips. I mean, it's so hard to.
I think some basic things. If somebody's like, I want to teach a class, I've never really taught a class. What would be a good little framework? You know, what should I do? Well, like I said, have a few routines prepared.
Yeah.
Have a few routines prepared. And if you're like, well, I don't have a few routines. Like, what are you doing teaching? Like, you better start, you know, at least start building your arsenal up a little bit. You know,
Right.
Have a few that you can kind of choose from. You know, try it out here and there with some friends and all that kind of stuff. In this day and age, you can rent studio space. Invite a couple friends who are dancers.
You can rent BreakOut. Please rent BreakOut.
Rent space at BreakOut. You can teach, you know, some friends and kind of get a sense of that. But so, anyways, I'm getting off track. Bullet points. Music choice. Mm-hmm. Be aware of what it is you're trying to put out there. When you do teach, again, be present with who is in the class. Be aware that they are not there to see or experience what you do. They're there to experience why you do it.
Right.
So talk a lot about that. Talk a lot about why these movements are the way they are. Why you do the movements you do. Why did you use the song that you did? Was it just because it was a groove and that you just loved it? Well, why did you love it? You know, tell them where they can find that song. Did you do that mix? Why did you do the mix the way that you did? Engage with people, but also recognize that, you know, try to look out for people, and it helps when you have a reoccurring class. Try to be aware of those who need to be pushed and those who need space, so they can just kind of grow, explore, and find their power. Mm-hmm. You know, mm-hmm. Because you could very easily turn someone off to dance because you're treating this person the way that this person wants to be treated. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're all individuals. So yeah, you know, have stuff prepared. Go in there, understand why at least you're doing the movements that you do to the best that you can, and be ready. Be on your toes. Be ready to answer questions. And you know what? You don't have to know everything.
Yeah.
It's okay to go, I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, and that's how you become better. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, man, and make it about them. Try to make it at least less about you. But at the same time, make it about them by sharing what it is that you love about this thing that you're teaching, you know, and through that, they'll see it and they'll apply it to their lives however it's supposed to be.
I think that could be the theme of this entire conversation, Michael, is make it about them. You know, that's so huge. Because we can create choreography and have showcases and do all that. And then, sorry, I'm trying to follow the comments here. Yes, history is important. I know there's been some comments that I've missed. I'm sorry, everyone. But yeah, I think. Yeah.
Jez is saying that it's that always carry history tidbits written down. Like I was saying, if you want to give any kind of history to what you're doing about anything, the art you're teaching, the music you're doing, maybe write it down, have that. I don't do that, but I'll probably start doing that now. That's a really good point, Jez.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the whole ego thing is really important. I think that putting your class before yourself, that some of the best dancers I've hired, you know, I've walked into classes and they're spinning and twirling and bop, bop, boop, bop, beep and hitting and quitting. And I'm like, you are teaching a jazz basics class. What in the are you doing? You know, you have come in here and shown off for an hour, and that is not what your students need. They need you to teach coordination and isolation and all these basic things that we talked about, you know? So I think
it's like you get to unlock more aspects of what you do that you can apply, and you could gain that for yourself. But the only way you're going to do that is by removing yourself from the element and teaching, and allowing the process to truly allow you to question things that you don't normally question because of our egos,
right?
Because of whatever it is that we have that we don't see in each other, you know, in ourselves. And so the only way to gain from dance is to give back to dance,
right?
And truly listen back to what dance is telling you in the form of students, in the form of the music while you're connecting.
Yeah, and that is just, again, in conversation. Are you putting your own thoughts ahead of someone talking to you? Like if we're having a conversation and I'm listening to you, Michael, it's important for me to, you know, be in on this podcast and be ready for the next moment. But I also need to hear you. You know, I need to fully process what you're saying without having to start like scripting my next moment. You know what I mean? I need to hear you. I think assisting is really big too. If someone comes into Breakout and they say like, hey, I know I'm not ready, or I know I need some time or some process. Can I assist? You know, we don't have anything set up right now, but I'm willing to create something that's like a scholarship-y program where people, if they're assisting and helping, we can create a pathway. I'm not going to promise, I'm not going to promise everyone a class because some people might not be ready. But, you know, if someone came to me with that question, I'd be much more inclined to move on it than if someone just came to me and said, give me a class. And I'm like, you're not ready.
Give me a class.
Give me a class.
That doesn't work.
Yeah.
Mr. T applied?
Yeah. Some people have been quite aggressive with me. So, no, I think assisting is huge. You know, going back to Canyon Ranch, when I started when I was 17, I was teaching fitness. You know, you were put in front of some of the most tough audiences. You've been put in front of a bunch of A-type people that are the CEO of this or the star of that. And all of a sudden you're like, childhood celebrity star walks in, you got to teach them and you got to do a good job because they're paying $5,000 a week to be there. And if I didn't have the audit, I had like 2.5 months, I think, of just auditing. I don't think they do that now, but thank God Jody and I both had that. We had months of paid.
What do you mean by audit?
So we just show up, take the class, assist the class, just be there and take it in. Sometimes we'd have to write things down about the class or review a class or your peer review, but it was just this process of just seeing the really great people. And back then, and I say back then because I don't know who's teaching up there anymore. I mean, there's some people still there that are rocking it. Shout out to those folks. But they set us up with all the rock stars, and they gave us such a gift, you know, of just, this is how you do it. This is how you just speak to people, look at them without dropping your eyes, and be in a room and be able to communicate. So assist, take as many classes as you can. If you've just taken a year of dance from one person, one style, you are not ready to teach. You are you are at the front door of your training, let alone the journey of teaching someone anything. So we have, I want to go.
I'll say that I didn't do any of those things. I didn't assist. I didn't take classes and all that. And now, where I am now, I can tell you, I would have benefited from that immensely. But let me tell you something. I don't think that my ego would have allowed me at that time to assist somebody or to take class from somebody else and learn somebody else's choreography. I'm a choreographer.
Right.
I'm trying to, like, I don't know if my ego would have allowed me to even put myself in that position. But let me tell you, I would have benefited from it so much. And I probably would have gone a lot further artistically than I have now. You know, even creatively. I'm grateful for my journey. I love my journey.
Yeah.
But, that's one thing to consider. Like, if you're a person who thinks, like, I understand what you mean, but I may be a little ahead of the curve because if you see me in the streets, if you see me in these circles, the way I move, I don't think I need to be assisting nobody.
Right.
Give it, do it. Just do it.
Well,
invest in yourself.
I think it's important to remember because your story and there's no magic pill to becoming a great teacher because so many great teachers had a different way of getting there. You and I are just sharing our backgrounds and where we're coming from and what if we could sit down and design a course to how to do this. There are a million ways to get there, but these are just a few tips and tricks and things that we recognize as skills that you can really sharpen to get to a place where someone has you come in, teach a mock class, and like, wow, this person came in, they were clear, they had an introduction, they're crazy talented, whatever your little recipe is that works for you is locked in. I think that's great. So we're getting close to let's do some chatting, some questions and answers. I'm just gonna kind of scroll here a little bit and see what people have said. I'm probably gonna take off my video like I did last time. Yeah, Jez, thank you, girl. She said, learned everything I know about teaching from assisting, also the importance of assisting. Jez spent, I've gotten some flack from people along the way that I focused too much on Jez throughout the years as she's been in Breakout. But let me tell you one thing, folks. Best investment, but also she showed up. She did the work. She asked. She offered. She volunteered. So when you start comparing yourself and going, oh, well, they're focusing only on this one person. Let me just say that you got to show up and do the work, and then their focus is stay on course.
Stay on target.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm going through the comments. Yeah, exactly. Focus on your journey. Remembering names and dates and notebook game. No shame in the notebook game. Yeah, love that. Oh, Jez. Oh. We love you, girl. Yeah, I think at some point, Jody, I think I've missed it. It's been kind of passed by now, but she mentioned
I turned around here, Todd. You got your camera turned around. I'm just giving you a heads up in case you have anybody in their underwear walking around their house.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
Oh no, unfortunately, no one in their underwear here. So Jody was mentioning our 3 a.m. Rehearsal / production nights that we had. She was talking about that earlier in the feed. I just wanted to recognize her comment. Those were some really fun, great, hard-working nights that we had. We were sick, and we were eating crap food, and yet we still got up and performed the next day.
No, sometimes we wouldn't even sleep.
Yeah. Oh, there was very little sleep. Not to say that's the way to do it, but that's how we did it.
Do we have any questions?
Yes.
Do we have any teachers that are joining in? If so, where are you teaching from? And maybe if there's anything that you think that we could talk about that you'd like to cover here.
Safety pins.
Safety.
We had lots of safety pins. What advice would you give us up-and-coming teachers in social media age? I think it goes back to the ego. I think we're all battling the ego game, not only in our dance lives, but in our real lives. Keep what's close to you, what's important to you at the forefront of your teaching. Know what it is you're trying to accomplish. I think Michael was dead on when he said, I don't know your exact wording, Michael, but you were commenting on knowing what your mission was for your class and putting that forward. I think that's so important. The whole videotape post online, I mean, that's fun. I do it. Everyone does it. But that shouldn't be the ultimate goal for your class. Your class, I'm like shaking my finger at you all. The ultimate goal of your class should be to teach. To teach, not to film. You're not a production company. You are a teacher. So
this is the moment where you're investing in dance and you're hopeful that dance will invest back in you in some way. You're not investing in yourself.
yes.
There's another question here. When you have a class of many levels, how do you make sure all students get a full experience? It's a very good question.
It's a great question.
I struggled with that quite a bit for a while. You know, there was a point in time where I was very adamant, like, this is an advanced class only, and I'd say maybe, there was a point in time, I don't know if it actually went there, but I actually considered, again, embarrassing youth stuff, where I'm like, maybe people should audition to take this advanced class. So that way it doesn't have to be held back and blah, 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 me, because of me, oh, me. You know, now what I tend to do is if it's a harder piece, I have done in the videos this past month, is I try really hard at the top and even throughout the middle is to encourage people, say, this is an advanced piece.
Mm-hmm.
This is an advanced piece. On the hot scale, it's pretty scorching. However, I would never want to discourage you from trying this because I guarantee you will learn something. You may not get the whole routine, but you'll get a little move. And that little move may be a seed for a whole combo that you may grow for yourself.
Yes.
I'm going to get to this. Mm-hmm. Get your money's worth out of this class, and you will. If you're there, you pay attention, and be attentive to those people as you're teaching. Be attentive to the advanced people for sure if you're teaching an advanced class, because, you know, it is an advanced class. But make sure you stop and you let these people know, remember, this is advanced, you're doing good. And maybe even say up front, I'll take some time at the very end. If people want to come up and if they have questions, let's go over some stuff.
Yeah.
You know, let's go over some stuff and that's if you're teaching. And again, if I'm teaching an intermediate class and suddenly I find, well, there's a lot of beginners within this intermediate class that maybe shouldn't be taking this class, or a beginner's class even, and everybody's moving in different levels. Again, you could always preface it, empower them by pointing it out, saying, this is some trickier stuff. I'm throwing some trickier stuff out at you guys. Mm-hmm. But keep in mind, it's not necessarily about getting exactly what I'm teaching. It's about you getting what you're supposed to get out of this.
Absolutely. And I think that goes back to being prepared. I think you're going to make it so much harder on those newer students if you're not prepared. If you,
to them, be honest.
Yeah, if you go in there and you're not at your full game, they're gonna have that much harder of a time. Like your regulars, the people that you know, your besties, whatever, they'll be fine because they know you, they know how you work. But those new folks are not gonna have a great class because you weren't ready to teach. I think it's important to go in with choreography that's set and just teach what you had planned. Try not to deviate, even though your levels are mixed. Like Michael said, if they get one thing, it could be the bridge to something else. That doesn't say you can't come back and review things, or maybe there's a certain part you can work on them with that you know they might hit well and be successful with. But teach your choreography as you had intended to do, because if you try to bounce around too much, then it becomes really chaotic. All right, everyone, I have to transition here because we have another video coming out live on YouTube. It'll be an open tab class with Jez Zankage, the person we've been chatting about a little bit here. Open tab. It'll be lots of fun. You can catch that on our YouTube channel. You can just search Breakout Studios Tucson for that YouTube channel. It'll be live at 11 a.m. Michael, thank you so much for chatting with me today.
So next week, we're going to be talking about choreography.
Yes, choreography next week. Yep, Wednesday at 10 a.m. next week. Pacific Coast time. We'll be chatting about choreography. This was awesome.
I love doing this.
Yeah,
this
man.
A lot of fun.
Thank you for your time.
I love geeking out over dance stuff, over all this stuff. But yeah.
This has been great. All right, thank you all. Thank you for watching, and thank you so much. All right, bye, everybody. Thanks, Patreon members, for watching today. This is exclusively going to be posted for you all. It'll be archived so you can watch it. We won't release this on YouTube for a while, so it'll be exclusive content just for you guys. The live video is done. It won't be saved on Instagram. Thank you so much for your membership and your time with us. I hope you enjoyed the chat with Michael Montoya about teaching. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye-bye.